They call action, and stuff starts dripping from the ceiling. And I'm looking at it, and it's like dripping like a foot from our actress who's like in the middle of her scene. Like, I'm like, holy shit, the second floor. And somebody had clogged the toilet on the second floor, and it had started to overflow.
Welcome to Shoot the Shit, a podcast that tells the unfiltered tales of filmmakers' craziest production and on-set experiences.
Because every shit situation on set makes a great story after. I'm Taylor, a director and editor.
And I'm Kristen, also a director and editor and creative producer here at No Longer Network. And today we have with us Megan Salisbury. She is an actress, but we also know her as a script supervisor, and she is here to tell us about her very interesting, crazy stories on set. So welcome, Megan.
Howdy there.
Megan, so excited to talk to you today.
I am.
Yeah, jumping in, I want to learn a little bit more about, what a script supervisor is for those who don't know, and kind of give us a little bit more about that role.
Sure. So my very abbreviated version, because script supervising is a lot of things put in together, but my abbreviated version is my job is to make sure that we shoot a technically proficient movie so that the director can stay creative and stay in that creative space and keep that creative flow going, so they're not having to think about any technical thing. That is my job.
Solid explanation. As editors as well, we're very familiar with your work and how important it is to have a script supervisor on set, just to make sure that, continuity is a thing. There's not like weird things popping in and out of shots as we do resets and stuff like that. So highly detailed, highly necessary part of filmmaking. So one thing that probably isn't super necessary in filmmaking is getting shit in your shot, quite literally. So you kind of told us that you had a story about a literal shit show. So please do tell.
Yes, literal shit show. So we're filming, it was like a thriller. And we're in Mississippi, and we were filming at somebody's house, and we're about to do our scene. Hair and makeup's doing their last looks. Camera's about to roll. They call action, and stuff starts dripping from the ceiling. And I'm looking at it, and it's like dripping like a foot from our actress who's like in the middle of her scene. Like, I don't think she was noticing the drips, and I'm like, holy shit, the second floor. And somebody had clogged the toilet on the second floor, and it had started to overflow, and it was literally dripping through the ceiling into our shot. And the producer was right next to me. I like grabbed her arm, and I was like, what the heck's going on? And we had to call cut and take care of it and make sure everything was okay. And the homeowner came and took care of the situation. But it was a literal shit show.
Did you guys know what it was when you saw it? Or were you like, oh, it's just like some water?
No idea. It could have been a pipe that was broken in the ceiling. Could have been anything. We had no idea until somebody went and investigated and found out the toilet had been overflowing. And to their credit, the homeowner had said, do not use this bathroom upstairs. And somebody had sneakily went up the stairs to use this bathroom because they didn't want to do their business, in the downstairs where everybody was working and doing their jobs. So, yeah.
Oh my God. Can you imagine being that person, like knowing that you are the cause of this?
I know. And nobody fesses up. Of course, nobody fesses up. But that poor actress who, I'm so glad it wasn't like literally dripping on her, because it was so close that it was insane.
That's crazy. My God. Yeah. Was it, did it smell? Were you guys
I was going to ask that too.
Backing away?
I don't know. It didn't smell where I was. I was comfily in a corner in my little chair, with my monitor. So it didn't smell where I was, but it was definitely we needed to take a long break to reassess the situation and make sure everything was okay. But yeah, it was really insane. It's probably one of the dirtiest quote things that I think has happened on set. In my experience.
God, were you guys laughing at the time, or was everyone just so uncomfortable? Or
I think it was probably 50-50. Like in terms of like crew that thought it was hilarious and crew that was like, that's really gross. But we were all, I think, at this point, this was, I think, one of our main houses, if I recall correctly, that we were filming at for several days in a row. So we were all kind of like getting sick of each other. Cause like as the days go on, the deeper you get into a shoot, the deeper like crew kind of like, they either all like are excited and happy and we're having a great time, or we're all starting to get like sick of each other and we're like doing the side eye thing. And I think that's kind of like the point we were at in our film shoot for, it was 2 or 3 weeks shoot.
Well, it also sounds like you weren't in your actual home. Like you don't live in Mississippi. So it sounds like maybe
Right.
there were some other people who were just kind of stuck in this spot. And if you're working on a really short turnaround like that, you spend so much time together. You really don't have a whole lot of time to do anything else but be on set. So you either really love the people you're with, or you learn to really friggin' hate them. So
yeah, and when you're on a shoot like that, you're shooting a full length movie in 2 or 3 weeks. Your days are long. You're not working an 8 hour day, and you get this surprising 4 hours off, and you're excited, and it's early, and you've completed everything for the day. There's a long list of stuff you're completing, and you're working into that 12th hour, potentially sometimes longer, but yeah. And this was like midday. It was a middle of the day occurrence. It wasn't like first thing in the morning, wasn't end of the day. It was a midday occurrence.
So you guys had to keep powering through, all working
Yes.
together and all kind of wondering who did this.
I can't remember if it was before lunch or after lunch. I hope it was after lunch, but I can't remember.
yeah, I was going to say, if it was before lunch, like nobody had an appetite for crafting.
No, absolutely not. But it was a beautiful house. It was a beautiful house. And I think upstairs was kind of off limits because that's where like the homeowner was residing themselves for the week. Cause when you're giving your home to people to film in, sometimes you're staying in your home and not when it's film hours, and it's different in every scenario. But yeah, we're told not to go upstairs.
Someone just couldn't hold it in.
It wasn't me. Right now on this podcast, it wasn't me. I swear. Not fingers crossed. Is it fingers crossed? I promise.
We can go.
I crossed my heart.
Go with it.
I believe you, Megan.
Yeah,
you want to talk a little bit? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Kristen.
No, I was just going to say, you don't seem like the type to take a sneaky shit. So
no, I want everybody to know.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about what it's like working, on a location like that in someone's home or wherever it may be versus in a studio? What some of the challenges or differences?
I honestly, personally have not had a lot of experience in like studio situations. So most of the things that I've worked on within like my narrative film life we're going into somebody's house. And when you're going in, I've worked many different roles on set. So I've worked, the PA, I've done the AD route, I've done all these different types of jobs. So I have a little bit of a different perspective than just like a script supervisor who goes into a job in general. So I always, when I'm going into somebody's home, I want to go in like with loving care that it's almost like it's my home. And so I try not to do anything that would like leave any type of mess, or I don't know. I just try to take extra care because that's like where somebody lives, and they've opened their house up to who knows what disaster could take place in their home that they could never even know about, because you're not going to tell somebody if something crazy happens and you solved the problem, right? So
like in this particular situation, little did they know what was going to be happening.
Right. So like you try to take as best care of somebody's house as you possibly can. But it was also my job in past projects where I go in and like before we even do day one prep, I go in and I take pictures of all of the like damage that's within their house so that they know that we didn't cause any damage on like the back end, which is not part of my script supervising job at all. That was like a different position that I was in, just like taking care of somebody's house and making sure they know that, no, we didn't put that dent in the wall, it was already there, or no, that paint was definitely chipped before we came in, or no, that mirror in the garage was definitely broken, so that there's no like in the end we're not liable for things that we didn't actually do either. You know, because we want to treat their house with care, but we're also not going to fess up to things that are broken that we didn't break either.
Which can happen. Sometimes people try to
Right.
swindle you out of a little bit of a handiwork. It's happened before. So
We did, however, on that same shoot, we were doing a fight scene and we were in the garage and somebody was being pushed into the wall and they actually went through the wall, like their whole back. That did actually happen though. But you know, the production like pays for it or comes up with whatever deal they're going to come up with to help the homeowner out. But I do remember that happening and we were all like because it didn't happen in rehearsal, but as soon as the camera rolls, somebody's back goes. But if the shot works and it's great for the TV and the movie, then you know you do what you make your decision on whether you're going to use it or not.
Authentic. Yeah.
Did it make it in the final cut, the actual flying through the wall?
I don't know, and this is like another. Maybe it's not all script supervisor things, but I watched the movie like. There's a lot of jobs on set who are not actually actively watching the movie. Script supervisor, I watch every scene like up to 15 to 20 times as they like move camera angles. So I never watch the final product of the movie because I've already watched it like 20 times in my mind. So I don't know if they actually used it or not because I've never actually seen what is the fully edited, finished version of the film.
Fair enough. As editors, we know what it's like to watch a scene many, many, many times.
Oh, I am sure. And I'm
of so many scenes.
Yes. Well, that was a pretty scary story. I can't really imagine shit dripping down through the floorboards. Do you have another scary or spooky story for us now that we're getting close to Halloween here?
Oh, you know I do. So I actually have worked on two separate films where we were under like haunted circumstances. So I'll give you like the brief of the first one that is not as crazy or as paranormal as my second story. But we worked on a film in LA at the Heritage Square. Have you guys ever been to the Heritage Square?
No.
So it's all these. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was going to say I haven't seen it. I've lived in LA my whole life. How terrible of me.
So it's all of these historic homes from these people who were historically important, and they've moved them all to one block. So there's like, I think there's 8 different homes along this block, and you walk it like a strip, and they're right next to each other. And it's called Heritage Square.
Wait, they moved the houses, like relocated the whole house?
They physically picked the house up, relocated it to this long square, and they're all obviously haunted, right? Because they're all these historically old, extremely old homes that they haven't like updated them in any ways either. Let me like be a little clearer about that too. They're all like in their original condition, and so. I think they have one little house that's like a pharmacy, like an old-fashioned pharmacy. It's crazy. But they're all haunted, and the people who take care of these houses can tell you story after story after story of how they're haunted. But on set, there were several scenarios in which we would be hanging out on the porch while they'd film a scene inside, and they'd open the door mid-scene and they go quiet on set, and we're all quiet. Nobody was talking. So they were like hearing voices in the earphones. I was not scripty on this, so I wasn't hearing them in earphones. But they were hearing voices on set that were not caused by any of us living people.
That's fun. I like it.
Yeah, it was crazy. And we filmed this entire film all overnight shoots. So it was dark the entire times we were there. There were so many times that there were like set decorations up of like mannequins or something, and I walk into a house and it would scare the living shit out of me because I would think somebody was in the corner, but it was just like a mannequin that was set up for a scene for later or something. That was crazy.
It sounds creepy.
It was very creepy, and even there wasn't street lights, I don't believe either. So like as a little Megan PA, she was just like jolly and walking back and forth from house to house to go do all of her little errands. And I was terrified at night. Like, because I don't do well in the dark anyways, but I'm like walking around by myself, going from haunted house to haunted house, like trying to collect all the things I needed to collect. And one night I saw a skunk, but that is completely off topic.
Scary in its own way.
Yes, yeah.
Don't want to get sprayed. Do you like
Yeah.
haunted stuff, or did it just creep you out too much?
Honestly, it just creeps me out. I film horror, like as crew, but I do not watch horror because I am too, like, I'm a little baby. At night, I go to bed and I'm exhausted and I'm tired, and then everything that has happened throughout the day, like, comes rushing in. And if there's horror movie things in there, I'm not sleeping.
I'm
But
kind
does
of
it
with you.
bother you to be on set, like watching horror films being shot? Like, does any of that ever get to you, or is it just because like you're behind the camera seeing the movie magic at play that it, doesn't really affect you?
It really doesn't affect me. It's exactly for that reason, because I'm seeing the movie magic. I know that the blood they're putting on them is maple syrup and red dye or some silly thing like that. It just kind of makes it more comical when you're watching it from behind the scenes, because you know what each thing is and you're watching them apply it. And oh, we got to get this perfect drop perfectly like down your face, and like it's yeah, it takes the realness and the scariness out of it for sure.
That makes sense. And so you were
Yeah.
in another haunted house shoot as well?
Yes, but this one I was living in the haunted house. So, like,
Oh.
after work, I was staying in the haunted house. So, I was actually living in the mansion that we were filming in. So, we were like double purposing it. We were filming in it, but we also had like, I don't know, maybe 6 of us living in it, because it was a huge mansion. It had like 8 rooms or something like that, eight or 10 rooms. And so, we had, there were certain rooms we weren't going to film in. And so we had housed people in those rooms that we weren't going to film in. Because, if you're filming in a room, but you're also living in a room, like, that means all these people that you're working with are going into your room where your personal effects might be. And it's just kind of weird. So we had all kind of been in a place that we knew that there was going to be no filming. So I was actually, even though there were 10 rooms in this house, I was staying in a room with another crew member, which I was extremely happy about because I was terrified every night. So let me tell you a few of the things that happened at this place. Nothing horror related would happen when crew was in there, like middle of the day, nothing ever happened. Once everybody left, this place turned into like the house of horrors. It was terrible. And we were also filming a horror movie in this haunted house.
So you couldn't escape horror vibes all day and night.
It was just there all the time. I was honestly like, in the best way possible, like drinking myself to sleep a little bit every night. Like, I was making sure that I was lit enough that I would fall asleep fast and hard because I was terrified that something would happen. And so the entire time that we were staying here, I think it was maybe 2 weeks, different things would happen to a different person every night. And nothing was happening to me, and I was starting to get really nervous by the end of the shoot that something was going to happen to me. So the things that were happening was, one night we were all sitting around the table reminiscing about how the day had gone. And we hear this loud crash. And the front porch had a swinging, what are those called? The front porch had a swinging seat, I guess.
Like a swinging bench. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it sounded like that had fallen. So we go out to investigate. Bench is still intact. Everything in the house seems to still be intact. We're all like really scared because what the heck? Why did this big crash and where did it come from? And we didn't know. And we're all just like huddled together and like kind of spent the night all together because we were nervous. And then my roommate one night woke up, and in the middle of the night she heard like what sounded to her like scribbling next to her ear, like somebody was writing on a note paper next to her ear.
That's creepy.
Yes. And then she said as soon as she woke up, it stopped. And so I was freaked out because we were in the same room together, but I didn't hear that because I was lit enough to go to sleep. And then our chef, like our chef for the shoot, was staying with us as well. And so he was working in the kitchen a lot, spending a lot of time prepping when we weren't shooting, doing his job. It's a different different timeline, I think, than a regular like 12-hour thing. You know, they have stuff they set up overnight and prep for the next day. And every time, I'm not kidding you, every time he said the word peaches, the lights would flash.
Oh,
So
wait,
we
I
have
have to
Yeah.
ask, where was this location that you were shooting in? Was this
It
in
was
Los
in
Angeles or
Mississippi
no?
again. No, this was
okay.
Mississippi again.
Okay.
Okay,
Mississippi
yeah.
has it out for me.
Emma
But
goes
and
there,
then
loves
Some strong
peaches.
haunted vibes from there, yeah, for sure.
and then the one other thing that I remember that happened to somebody was she woke up in the middle of the night to go pee, and there was a rocking chair in her room, and it was just rocking in the middle of the night when she woke up, and she was freaked out. She went to the bathroom. She said she went and she got back in bed, and then she felt somebody sit on her bed next to her. Like she
Oh,
felt somebody sit on the bed next to her. It was
Oh my God.
insane. And so by this point, we're nearing the end of the shoot. I'm terrified. I've witnessed things happen, but nothing's happened to me alone. If I have to pee in the night, I'm literally getting up and like, I'm on a bunk bed too. So I'm like running down the ladder and running to my bathroom and running back because I'm so like, I was just so scared. I'm pretty sure we left like lights on in the house because we were all so scared. And the scribbling had happened to me that last night that we were there. I woke up, it was like 2 a.m. I heard scribbling and I was like, what the heck? And I opened my eyes, stopped instantly. And it was so hard for me to fall back asleep.
Yeah, no kidding.
just knowing there's a
Yeah.
presence there with you
Oh
while you're
my
trying to sleep.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Well, and it was this old, like, plantation mansion. So I'm sure it's full of haunted ghosts and paranormal
Tortured
activity.
souls.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's been so, you know, when a house is 200-300 years old, like has to have something in it.
It
That
does
is
have
Yeah,
creepy.
stories.
that was a
My
lot.
God.
That was a whole big story, but that was one of this like the scariest, I think, work and home environments I was in because I was never escaping this place. I was waking up to people showing up at my house like for the day to work. They got to go home at night, and I just like got to stay, which was kind of cool in a way because I could just like roll out of bed and
Yeah.
be ready for work. But
It's like work from home, but you know, you're shooting a movie.
right, right, and it was a beautiful mansion. It was like this big, beautiful. I don't know. It was a beautiful mansion. It was for sale too. So I wonder if they ever sold it.
Well, they sold it with some permanent residents for sure. It sounds like.
For sure.
Oh my gosh. That's wild. I mean, even if you don't necessarily believe in the paranormal, it's just still so interesting to like hear all of these, like, because it clearly didn't happen to just you. Like other people were experiencing these other very strange anomalies, and it's just, oh, gosh, like makes your skin crawl just to think about it.
Yes, I have to like will myself to believe that because I believe in the paranormal. Like there's energy and spirit. We don't lose our energy when we die. Energy is never destroyed nor created, in my opinion. But
I'm with you,
it's
Megan. I'm with
I
you.
have to like will myself to believe that the paranormal cannot physically hurt me either. Because, you know, like that's the horror line where I start to get like overwhelmed is like when paranormal can like scratch people in movies and stuff. That freaks me out. And so I have to like really will myself to believe on a regular basis that like the paranormal cannot hurt me. They can be here with me, but they cannot hurt me.
Well, the next time you're on a set, you should probably bring something with you, like some holy water, maybe some sage,
Some
you know,
sage,
just
for
to make that
sure.
spiritual barrier very, very obvious for everyone.
Do you
Wow.
do you think it ever like makes ghosts mad when you sage? Like they're more enraged that you try to sage them out?
Okay, so I grew up like watching those shows, like, you know, like the ghost hunter kind of things. And there were so many
Yeah.
instances of that where they always refer to it as poking the bear. Like when someone goes to do like a house blessing, but there's a demon in it, they're always like,
Yeah.
I just poked the bear. And then all the crazy shit starts to happen.
So it does.
So I'm a little bit wary of that. But, you know, like everything's done with intention. So if you're just like, hey, man, I'm just here to do my day job. Like, please just leave me alone. I'll be out in like 2 weeks. Just give me a minute, you know?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
crafty in the kitchen. Go have something.
Yourself to anything, any of our
Welch's
possessions.
fruit snacks. Everyone loves Welch's fruit snacks. You like
Absolutely.
peaches?
That's
Go downstairs.
right, right, exactly. I think our chef made peach cobbler one day too, just to like suffice
Oh yeah,
Peaches, our ghost.
that sounds good.
You guys
Peaches
named
the
it. I
ghost. I
love it.
love that.
I
Yes,
always
we
thought it'd
named
be
her
cool.
Peaches.
I always thought it'd be cool to see something supernatural like that. But I think if it came down to it and I was sleeping in a creepy house, I don't know that I'd actually want to experience
Yeah.
it.
The
Yeah.
room that I was sleeping in too was it was like designed for kids, hence the bunk beds. Had like this
Yeah.
big projector wall and this big screen where you could actually project movies on the wall. It was decorated for a little kid, actually, except it had movie posters all around, which was really cool. But the vibe of this house was really cool.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
Huh. I'd love to see it.
I'm gonna
So
look it
Megan,
up.
you're working on a. Oh, go ahead, Megan.
I want to look it up. I want to see if it's sold. I want to know if somebody bought it.
So, and how long they lasted in it after
Yeah,
creepy.
Right.
wonder if it's for
Megan, I
sale
wanted to ask
again.
you about you're working on a cabin show right now. Are there any ghosts involved in that?
No ghosts. I work on main cabin masters, not
Okay.
acting behind the scenes as crew. I'm their production manager. Um, yeah, cabin masters is great. I really really love working on it because we're actively like changing people's lives on a regular basis. It feels like to me when we're getting somebody's old cabin that's been in their family for generations and they love and it's decrepit and it just needs help and they're not carpenters and they don't know what to do and instead of going to camp and enjoying time with their family they're trying to fix things and it's not working and they really love it but they can't keep it if it's not gonna be fixed up in a place where they can really, really enjoy time with their family. And we're refurbishing it and going through their wish list and figuring out what we can do to make their place better and more beautiful and give them more space. Sometimes families have grown and they want more space. And all the cabin masters and the crew, they're all so sweet and down to earth. And we're just such a great team. And then we get to give this house back to the original owners and sometimes they cry. It's really touching when we give them like a special project that they made for their parent who's passed away or anything like that. It's really a wholesome show and it is from crew's perspective. As we all know, sometimes the actual working condition does not represent like what the show is going for in essence, but main cabin masters it's really like a wholesome show from crew perspective and also from like the reality TV perspective of what people and viewers out there are actually seeing. Yeah, it's been one of my favorite jobs to work on just because it feels like you're touching people, their lives in a way that they are not get in their normal day-to-day lives. So you're really changing their lives for the best.
Feel good vibes. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
I really wasn't aware that you were like servicing people that might be like underprivileged or not capable of keeping homes that really mean something to them. So that's really interesting, like a very different take on this. I know that there was like, you know, in the early 2000s, everybody was in love with, what was it? Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Do you
Yeah,
guys remember that with the giant,
I
move
do.
that truck? Yeah. But that's really cool that you have like this whole situation happening with these historical cabins and with these people that, you know, have probably owned them for generations.
Yeah, yeah, it's very nice. It's yeah, and like I said, all the cabin masters, the real cast. I guess we call them cast, but we don't actually call them cast on set because they just feel like people. You know, you can come in with cast that not acts like cast, but is expectant of like a certain standard of what how they're going to be treated, and I don't know what they received that's based on like the contract. These people are just like real people who like do their own hair and makeup and like just show up and just want to work and want are passionate about what they do and that I think that's the greatest environment to work in.
Yeah, it
Sounds
sounds
like
like it.
you guys feel like a family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I love when as a crew and you can all kind of feel like that because yeah, as you mentioned earlier, sometimes everyone can kind of feel at odds, but it is nice when you kind of really all gel and have that family like atmosphere.
Yeah, it makes the days better. It really does. Because you're
For
not
sure.
doing that side eyeing where you're like, oh, I'm so sick of this person. I can't wait to be done in a week. Like you're really just enjoying your day, which
It's so strange.
sorry. I
No,
think
go
that's what
ahead.
we all I think that's what we all strive for is like a work and like our jobs are supposed to be fun and enjoyable. We do this because we love it, and this is a set where I actually feel like I love it and I love my job because I everybody just is so happy and such great energy every day.
Yeah, I think, and I think we've probably brought this up more than once, but it's just so strange when you work on a set with a whole crew because you do become so close knit, and especially when it's just like, you're shooting a singular movie and then all of a sudden it's like done, and then you have to like say goodbye to these people that you've grown so close to in the past 2 3 weeks. It feels really strange because you do kind of like create this family camaraderie kind of situation. But because you're working on this show, it kind of sounds like you get to experience that from season to season. It doesn't necessarily go away because you're brought back on and you're working, I assume, with the same people or mostly the same people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's kind of like taking a break from your family for a couple weeks and then going back to seeing them for a couple weeks and then taking a break. It's really a nice atmosphere because you're kind of like in a strange way, not a weird way, like missing them while they're gone. Like, oh, because they're your friends. You're working with them month after month after month after month after month. So you develop interpersonal relationships. I feel like you kind of have to. Like as humans, that's what we're craving is connection, just in general. And when you're working with the same team for it's extremely long time, you kind of have to go into it with a different attitude too, because you're creating long-term relationships. You're not just working a movie for 2 weeks and you might meet some awesome people and you might meet some people that you don't love, but ultimately you're only working for 2 weeks, so you make the best of those 2 weeks. In this scenario, like you're working for months on end, so you want to create like wholesome, great interpersonal connections. And like even just as simple as like remembering somebody's lunch order, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean that by like remembering to pick it up, but like, oh, you always like to order this at this place. Like that creates like connection of I see you and I hear you, like on a general basis. And I'm remembering the things that you like because I want to have a good personal relationship with you.
Is there
Right.
anything you
Yeah.
do when you don't have a good relationship with someone to try to repair that or steer it in a better direction?
Um, I think it honestly, I think it depends on the situation and the person and whether you want to create that interpersonal relationship or not, or whether it's worth it. Maybe worth it's not the right word. Maybe
No, I get what you
whether
mean.
it's, yeah,
It's
whether,
worth the energy to try and like connect yourself to this person, or is it just like, look, we do our jobs and we just get done, with the
It
day and just
coexist.
try not to like,
yeah, we
Yeah.
do that in everyday life with like people we meet along the way. Like, is it worth this relationship? Is this something or somebody I'm interested in? And like working with again, I think it's very important though to work towards good relationships just in general because this film entertainment business is all about networking and who you know and what job leads to what position and where you met this person and they brought you onto this other job when they were just a PA, but you had a really good rapport and now they're producing and so they're bringing you onto this job because they love you and you're great and you're good at what you do. I think it's important in general that we all maintain like a professionalism first of all, but good healthy relationships because you never know where somebody's going to be in the future or what opportunity somebody might have that is very important and makes like your soul thrive and open up and get excited.
Oh, I love that. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us about, what you're working on now? And can you kind of tell us where people can find you or follow you online?
Sure. So right now I'm focusing on my acting amid the crew main cabin master's job because I do still really love that job. I'm focusing on acting, getting myself into the entertainer part of it in front of the camera, which has been really exciting and very fun. I'm currently represented by an agency, New England Models Group, which is really exciting and like the next step, which has been really awesome. You can find me on Instagram at Salisbury Steak Yo, and that's because my last name is Salisbury, and Salisbury Steak is a poor man's steak. So I thought it'd be a fun name. You can also find me on LinkedIn at Megan Salisbury page. But yeah, just working to network within my local New England community, working to network with my local in working to network in my local New England community, and happy to reach out and collab with anybody. Honestly, I've had some of my greatest experiences recently just reaching out to like photographers and saying, hey, do you need something for your portfolio? Because I need something for mine. Let's do something together that benefits both of us. I love doing stuff like that because then you like get to build a book and a portfolio, but you're also like getting experience, networking, having connections, meeting people. Yeah, it's been such a great journey, and I'm just really excited to see where it goes, whether I book something big and it's amazing, or whether I just get to be like a quiet artist for the rest of my life. I'm honestly really happy with whatever happens. I just want to keep creating and keep using my creative energy to output something. And yeah, I think that's what everybody in this industry is probably hoping for or hoping to achieve. But yeah.
Your passion and enthusiasm for filmmaking really comes through and, for the industry. So yeah, best of luck with everything, and hopefully no more, poops coming through the ceiling in any future sets. Crossing my fingers.
I don't know. I work on construction sets.
At least no more ghosts. At least not for right now. Right.
It was great getting to meet you both and talk to you both today. It was awesome. Thank you for having me.
Great talking with you again. I love hearing all of your crazy stories. You have such a unique perspective on things, being a scriptie and being an actress. So it's been wonderful.
Yes, they definitely help each other. Both the jobs. They definitely
absolutely.
Help
you
teach each other.
You probably are an amazing actress because you're a scriptie. You've got like
at least amazing at continuity.
Yeah. Oh my God. As an editor, I'm like, give her all of the money. Give her all of the money. She put her hand in like the same spot twice. I love it. It's amazing. But anyway, awesome. Thank you again for joining us. That's it for Shoot the Shit for today. We will see you next time.
Join us for the next shit show.
Subscribe here for the full version of this episode.
And remember, if it gets tough on set, it will make for a great story.
No Longer Network.